Wait! Once I saw the like, in Delos, beside Apollo's altar, the young slip of a palm tree springing into the light. There I'd sailed, you see, with a great army in my wake, out on the long campaign that doomed my life to hardship. That vision, just as I stood there gazing, rapt, for hours, no shaft like that had ever risen up from the earth. So now I marvel at you, my lady, rapt, enthralled, too struck with awe to grasp you by the knees, though pain has ground me down. Only yesterday, the 20th day, did I escape the wine-dark sea. Till then the waves and rushing gales had swept me on from the island of Ogygia. Now some power has tossed me here, doubtless to suffer still more torments on your shores. I can't believe they'll stop. Long before that the gods will give me more, still more. Compassion! Princess, please! You, after all that I have suffered, you are the first I've come to. I know no one else, none in your city, no one in your land. Show me the way to town. Give me a rag for cover. Just some cloth, some wrapper you carried with you here. And may the good gods give you all your heart desires, husband and house, and lasting harmony too. No finer, greater gift in the world than that, when man and woman possess their home, two minds, two hearts that work as one. Despair to their enemies, a joy to all their friends, their own best claim to glory. Stranger, the white-armed princess answered staunchly, friend, you're hardly a wicked man, and no fool, I'd say. It's the Olympian Zeus himself who hands our fortunes out, to each of us in turn, to the good and bad, however Zeus prefers. He gave you pain, it seems. You simply have to bear it. But now, seeing you've reached our city and our land, you'll never lack for clothing or any other gift. The right of worn-out suppliants come our way. I'll show you our town, tell you of our people's name. Phaeacians we are, who hold this city and this land, and I am the daughter of generous King Alcinous. All our people's power stems from him. She called out to her girls with lovely braids, Stop, my friends, why run when you see a man? Surely you don't think him an enemy, do you? There's no one alive, there never will be one, who'd reach Phaeacian soil and lay it waste. The immortals love us far too much for that. We live too far apart, out in the surging sea, off at the world's end. No other mortals come to mingle with us. But here's an unlucky wanderer strayed our way, and we must tend him well. Every stranger and beggar comes from Zeus, and whatever scrap we give him, he'll be glad to get. So quick, my girls, give our new-found friends some food and drink, and bathe the man in the river, wherever you find some shelter from the wind. At that they came to a halt, and teased each other on, and led Odysseus down to the sheltered spot where he could find a seat, just as great Alcinous' daughter told them. They laid out cloak and shirt for him to wear. They gave him the golden flask of suppling olive oil, and pressed him to bathe himself in the river stream. Then thoughtful Odysseus reassured the handmaids, Stand where you are, dear girls, a good way off, so I can rinse the brine from my shoulders now and rub myself with oil. How long it's been since oil touched my skin. But I won't bathe in front of you. I would be embarrassed, stark naked before young girls with lovely braids. The handmaids scurried off to tell their mistress. Great Odysseus bathed in the river, scrubbed his body clean of brine that clung to his back and broad shoulders, scoured away the brackish surf that caked his head, and then, once he had bathed all over, rubbed in oil and donned the robes the virgin princess gave him. Zeus's daughter Athena made him taller to all eyes, his build more massive now, and down from his brow she ran his curls like thick hyacinth clusters full of blooms. As a master craftsman washes gold over beaten silver, a man the god of fire and Queen Athena, trained in every fine technique, and finishes off his latest effort. Handsome work! So she lavished splendor over his head and his shoulders now. And down to the beach he walked and sat apart, glistening in his glory, Breathtaking, yes, and the princess gazed in wonder, then turned to her maids with lovely braided hair. Listen, my white-armed girls, to what I tell you. The gods of Olympus can't be all against this man who's come to mingle among our noble people. At first he seemed appealing, I must say. Now he seems like a god who rules the skies up there. Ah, if only a man like that were called my husband, lived right here, pleased to stay forever. Enough. Give the stranger food and drink, my girls. They hung on her words and did her will at once. Set before Odysseus food and drink, and he ate and drank. The great Odysseus, long deprived, so ravenous now it seemed like years since he had tasted food. The white-armed princess thought of one last thing. Folding the clothes, she packed them into her painted wagon, hitched the sharp-hoofed mules, and climbing up herself, Nausicaa urged Odysseus, warmly urged her guest, "Up with you now, my friend, and off to town we go. I'll see you into my wise father's palace, where, I promise you, you'll meet all the best Phaeacians. Wait, let's do it this way. You seem no fool to me. While we're passing along the fields and plowlands, you follow the mules and wagon, stepping briskly with all my maids. I'll lead the way myself, but once we reach our city, ringed by walls and strong high towers too, with a fine harbor either side, and the causeway in is narrow, along the road the rolling ships are all hauled up, with a slipway cleared for every vessel. There's our assembly, round Poseidon's royal precinct, built of quarried slabs planted deep in the earth. Here the sailors tend their black ship's tackle, cables and sails, and plane their oar blades down. Phaeacians, you see, care nothing for bow or quiver, only for masts and oars and good trim ships themselves. We glory in our ships, crossing the foaming seas, but I shrink from all our sea dogs' nasty gossip. Some old salt might mock us behind our backs. We have our share of insolent types in town, and one of the coarser sort, spying us, might say, "Now who's that tall, handsome stranger Nausicaa has in tow? Where's she light on him? Her husband-to-be, just wait. But who? Some shipwrecked stray she's taken up with, some alien from abroad? Since nobody lives nearby. Unless it's really a god come down from the blue to answer all her prayers, and to have her all his days. Good riddance, let the girl go roving to find herself a man from foreign parts. She only spurns her own. Countless Phaeacians around about who court her, nothing but our best. So they'll scoff. Just think of the scandal that would face me then. I'd find fault with a girl who carried on that way, flouting her parents' wishes, father, mother still alive, consorting with men before she tied the knot in public. No stranger. Listen closely to what I say. The sooner to win your swift voyage home at my father's hands. Now, you'll find a splendid grove along the road, poplars, sacred to Pallas, a bubbling springs inside, and meadows run around it too. There lies my father's estate, his blossoming orchard too, as far from town as a man's strong shout can carry. Take a seat there, wait a while, and give us time to make into town and reach my father's house. Then, when you think you're home, walk on yourself to the city. Ask the way to my father's palace, generous King Alcinous. You cannot miss it. Not even an innocent child could guide you there. No other Phaeacian's house is built like that. So grand the palace of Alcinous, our great hero. Once the mansion and courtyard have enclosed you, go, quickly, across the hall until you reach my mother. Beside the hearth she sits in the fire's glare, spinning yarn on a spindle, sea-blue wool, a stirring sight, you'll see. She leans against a pillar, her ladies sit behind, and my father's throne is drawn up close beside her. There he sits and takes his wine, a mortal like a god. Go past him, grasp my mother's knees, if you want to see the day of your return, rejoicing soon, even if your home's a world away. If only the Queen will take you to heart, then there's hope that you will see your loved ones, reach your own grand house, your native land at last. At that she touched the mules with her shining whip, and they quickly left the running stream behind. The team trotted on, their hoofs wove in and out. She drove them back with care so all the rest, maids and Odysseus, could keep the pace on foot, and she used the whip discreetly. The sun sank as they reached the hallowed grove, sacred to Athena, where Odysseus stopped and sat and said a prayer at once to mighty Zeus's daughter. Hear me, daughter of Zeus, whose shield is thunder, tireless one, Athena. Now hear my prayer at last, for you never heard me then, when I was shattered, when the famous god of earthquakes wrecked my craft. Grant that here among the Phaeacian people I may find some mercy and some love. So he prayed, and Athena heard his prayer, but would not yet appear to him undisguised. She stood in awe of her father's brother, lord of the sea, who still seethed on, still churning with rage against the great Odysseus, till he reached his native land. We're going to pause here at the end of Book 6, and we're going to answer another question.